Okay, so welcome to week 6 of the Monday Masterclasses. Today's topic, heart communication and the cell danger response. So some quick recaps. If this is your first time joining us, this is me, author, speaker, self-peace activist, self-health responsibility champion, and in the Guinness Book of Records too. And the purpose of these masterclasses is to go from goal setting to goal getting and to inspire more self-health responsibility and more peace and more, well, world peace and self-peace. One of my favorite quotes, it's no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society, by Krishnamurti, and it is a sick society, and you can choose to get healthier if you so decide. So what are we going to cover today? Today, we're going to cover communication or talk right, which is part of the Magnificent 7 healing strategies. So if you don't know what the Magnificent 7 are yet, you will be introduced to a bit more of it in a moment. External and internal communication, although I'm not actually going to speak very much about external communication at all. In fact, we're going to be keeping it internal today. And then heart-specific communication, the cell danger response, and some actions to take. What we will not cover in huge detail is we won't cover hormones, nerves like glyconutrients, cannabinoids, and more in great depth, though I am going to touch more on nerves and light, but I'm not really going to speak about hormones, glyconutrients, cannabinoids, redox systems, bacterial systems, carbon-based systems. There's all kinds of communication systems, which I go into in more detail in the Magnificent 7 training and the Magnificent 2.0 training, and probably in the 7-week anti-aging health lab as well. So here's some of my mindset stuff. I'm a heroic coach, mental performance mastery coach, and these are some of the topics we're going to be covering in the next year. You want to use the Heroic app. I keep on forgetting to put that in and keep it in there. You want to go to heroic.us, get the app, because you can expect increased energy, productivity, and connectivity within 30 days using just the free version. Here's the Heroic protocol, which again I will go through in more detail at some point, and the Soul Force equation as well. Again, more details coming soon. This is an overview of the Magnificent 7 health strategies to create optimal health and protection. So think right, talk right, which is what we're going to cover a bit today. Communication, internal communication, drink right, eat right, move right, detox right, sleep right. We're going to come back to that a little bit better today. I kind of bring it down to 3, though, the fantastic functional 3: functional movement, functional nutrition, functional thought, although I prefer functional philosophy. Now, communication. One of my favorite doctors, Zach Bush, said in one of the webinars I saw with him, a cell with unfettered access to information never becomes diseased. Now, that's not the same as saying the cell will never die. It means it will die of old age as opposed to die of disease, which is a much happier way to go. And proper communication is critical to success in all levels of life, whether it's your relationships, whether it's friendships, business, and also, of course, your health. Unfortunately, so much of today's lifestyle, so many of today's lifestyle choices and stresses actually stop communication, both externally properly and internally properly. And they do actually, there is a link between the two. I can't remember if I put that in yet. Not in this one anyway. But even most medicine, even something as supposedly harmless and healthy as Calpol, which if you're watching in America, this is the children's version of Tylenol. Okay, and for those of you in the UK that don't know what Calpol is, that's the children's version of paracetamol. So this is considered safe, but even that can have a disastrous effect on your internal communication systems, and that's why it can cause, liver disease and all sorts of things. Oh, I've just stepped ahead. So term that's good to know of a little bit in advance. I think I mentioned this a few times today, something called homeostasis. And homeostasis is the maintenance of a constant internal environment. And your body does this via communication. And what it thinks of and the consistent environment that it creates also depends on the information it receives and how well your system is working. Because if your system isn't working properly and it's getting the wrong communication, the homeostasis it maintains, i.e. the environment it maintains, may be the wrong one for health. So this is a little look. So this is a cell, and this is an idea of just some of the chemical processes and chemical messenger processes that are happening on the inside, and enzyme processes as well, we started on. So there's all kinds of stuff that's happening inside the cell, communicating both from the inside of the cell to the outside of the cell, and also, inside and outside the cell, but also there's communication from the outside world into the brain and through the brain into the tissues. And also the tissues communicate with the brain, and then the brain, of course, communicates to the outside world. So communication throughout the entire system is, as you're about to see, massively intertwined, massively. And what happens in one part of the body can actually affect the rest of the body through the brain. Remember that, the brain, it's key. So the cell danger response is something that I first learned about a few years ago from Ari Whitten, who is the host of the Energy Blueprint podcast. And just this weekend, there's an absolutely amazing podcast with a guy, I think his name's Dr. Greg Harris. I can't remember now. But the most recent podcast a lot of it was about the cell danger response, and I learned a lot more about it, and that's why I decided to put it into today's communication, because it ties in so together, because the cell danger response is all about communication. So what is a cell danger response? The cell danger response is the evolutionary response that protects our cells and therefore us from harm at a basic cellular level. And this is triggered by chemical stresses and toxins, physical stresses, and biological threats as well. And because of the brain, if you perceive a threat, again, it's going to affect the cell. And if you have a perceived threat, lots of stress, mental stress, it's going to set off the cell danger response. So again, I'm not going to be asking you to memorize this, but this is a little overview of the cell danger response. So basically, at top in green, you're awake, all kinds of things are working properly, you're intaking nutrients, and then you go to sleep and you restore. And that's the normal healthy development cycle. But what happens when your system is attacked by something, some kind of stress, injury, toxin, is it starts turning on the cell danger response. And the cell danger response is how the cell responds to threats, whether this is virus, bacteria, or whether it's a physical injury to it, or even if it's a perceived threat that the brain is saying, there's a threat, there's a threat. It can actually change how things are happening. So your cells actually start changing their metabolic structure and how they set themselves up. Cell membranes change, how the energy is made is changed. So it sort of switches from fat burning to sugar burning. So if you're someone that can't produce energy from fats, it's probably because your cell danger response is on, and this can explain fatigue and all sorts of things. So this is the first part, and then it gets into the cell danger response part 2, where things have actually changed a little bit more, and your body starts repairing as well. And then you have cell defense 3, cell danger response 3, and this is where everything starts to sort of fatigue, and then eventually your system goes back to normal. However, a lot of people get stuck in CDR1, especially CDR2, and can get stuck in CDR3, where things are just fatigued and nothing's really working properly. And understanding this can actually help you get better, and it also helps doctors help you get better when they actually understand what's going on. And unfortunately, lots of today's drugs interfere with this process. lots of them interfere with this process. Yeah, and so when the CDR persists abnormally, your body metabolism, your gut microbiome can be disturbed, the performance of all kinds of organs is impaired, behavior is changed, yes, behavior, and chronic disease results. And it depends where the cell danger response is really going out of control or not working normally as to what disease you may get, basically. Now, the big thing to remember is that it's the brain stem is really where a lot of the cell danger response is overseen. So this is where the body oversees what's happening in your arms, your legs, your heart. But this is also the brainstem is where basically normal brain is. You need the brainstem to be working properly for normal brain, motor, vestibular, sensory, social, and speech development. So if something goes wrong in your body, your brainstem can also start changing, which is a problem. Because, again, I've highlighted in yellow here, an understanding of the CDR permits us to reframe old concepts of pathogenesis, i.e. how disease starts, for a broad array of chronic, developmental, autoimmune, and degenerative disorders. If you don't know what that means, carry on listening. These disorders include autism, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, asthma, gluten and many other food and chemical sensitivity syndromes, emphysema, that's a lung disorder, Tourette's, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, then traumatic brain injuries, epilepsy, suicide, thoughts of suicide, organ transplant biology, diabetes, kidney, liver and heart disease, cancer, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, autoimmune disorders like lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, and multiple sclerosis. All of these things can have their roots in the CDR going wrong. And if you can fix the CDR, i.e. fix communication, things improve, because the CDR, when it goes wrong, it's because of communication problems. Okay, so communication. There is external communication, how you communicate with the outside world. And I will be covering this, and I've covered this a little bit anyway in the past, is how you think will alter your entire biology. And so how you think, and so that's think right, which is a whole part of the Magazine 7, actually affects communication on the inside, right down to all the little cell things that you saw here. How you think affects all of this. So it's important. This is why I'm so keen on building an elite mindset for you all. I'm doing the mental performance mastery and the heroic stuff. And then there's your internal thoughts, there's your nervous system hormones, the endocannabinoid system, which is why CBD oil can be so good for so many different things. There's light, there's carbon-based redox systems, which is basic communication systems. There's all kinds of things happening. You've got to get your microbiome right. There's so much stuff, there's so much complex stuff. Specific molecules, hormones, proteins, glycoproteins, micro mRNA, there's fungal mRNA, there's viral mRNA, there's all kinds of stuff that's happening on the inside. But I'm going to focus a little bit on the nervous system now, especially because it's going to come back to heart now. Now, as you've already seen, the CDR, a lot of its coordination is happening in the brainstem as well as down at the cellular level. And your spine helps feed the brain, basically. And if your spine isn't working properly, then your brain won't work properly. And your nerves and your body can't communicate with your brain properly. Same with all kinds of different stuff. Like if you've had scar tissue, if you've got an injury in your muscles, that affects your nervous system, which also affects your brain. Okay. And chiropractic care. Oh, this is from my blood pressure talk. But basically, it's been shown that chiropractic care and also massage as well can help lower blood pressure. And it was actually shown as neck massage, and the particular technique used here in this this chiropractic study was on the neck. So what we know is that the health of your neck is actually really key to your blood pressure and to your heart. as well. So it's not just chiropractic, massage as well. Very, very good for blood pressure and heart problems if the practitioner knows what they're doing. But also, further studies on chiropractic and spinal manipulation show that it's not just about helping blood pressure, it can improve the nerve function of the heart, decreases blood markers of inflammation, and inflammation is very important in bringing down if you want a healthy cardiovascular system. Can improve heart rate variability, decreases chest pain. In fact, a lot of chest pain may actually be nothing to do with the heart and may just do with the fact that your spine and your ribs are stiff, which is related to improving lung function as well, because if your lungs aren't working properly, then you're not going to deliver oxygen, and so your heart's going to struggle delivering oxygen as well. So make sure your spine and your rib cage are working. And in fact, I got all of this from a cardiologist, one of the ones that taught me, Dr. Jack Watson, and this is why he sends all of his heart patients to chiropractors and recommends they get checked by a chiropractor to make sure that their heart problem isn't actually a spine problem, and just therefore remove the need for drugs and all kinds of other things straight away. But one of the reasons why it's so important to see a chiropractor, osteopath, massage therapist, physiotherapist if you're in pain is because chronic pain can cause high blood pressure, and chronic pain can actually cause heart problems because of the stress. And also, and this is really important, is most of the drugs that people are put on to decrease pain cause high blood pressure and heart problems. So if you have got a heart condition and you're in pain, please, please, please try and get your pain fixed, not by drugs, but by actually fixing it properly, because the nervous system is, the nervous system and your biological system is so important. The nervous system is kind of wonderful, especially when you get the brain involved, but this is actually all about lights, because I'm now moving on to light a little bit. Every cell in your body emits 100,000 photons per second, apparently. And so photons are basically little packets of light. So every single cell, every single living cell actually emits light. And light, according to Oshman, and this is from his book, and basically the light that your body creates is actually part of a signaling system, and so they are likely to serve as signals that integrate processes such as growth, injury repair, defense, i.e. cell defense, and functioning of the organism as a whole. And so this is one of the reasons why so many practitioners around the world use, like myself, use cold lasers, because cold lasers and light therapy can actually help bring about the change in communication or the improvement in communication needed to start the repair processes. And light from the sun, as you may or may not know, actually has an effect on vitamin D, as in turning it and activating it. But also, the active sunlight on your skin helps turn nitrates into nitric oxide, which some of you already know a little bit about. So what is nitric oxide, and why didn't you know that you need sun to create nitric oxide as well as vitamin D? So nitric oxide, basically for the discoveries concerning nitric oxide as a signaling molecule in the cardiovascular system, won the 1998 Nobel Prize. Now, I actually remember the first time I heard about the importance of nitric oxide in cardiovascular health was when I was at college, so it would have been 1991. So in 1991, yeah, it would have been 1980. So I think it was my second year of college at a physiology lab. Physiology tutor came in saying, "This is amazing," because he'd just read some research, must have been by one of these gentlemen here, on nitric oxide and how important it was inside our blood vessels. And then it went on to win the Nobel Prize. So nitric oxide, it's not just in the cardiovascular system, it's not just important for heart health, it's important for brain health and nerve health, it's important for the immune system, and it's very important for sexual function. Is actually why Viagra works for producing erections, primarily through the same reason why it's good for the heart, because nitric oxide helps dilate blood vessels. So as it dilates the blood vessels, it brings down blood pressure and improves nutrient and oxygen and blood flow. So now it's not just as simple as doing things to increase nitric oxide. It's actually making sure it's controlled right, because nitric oxide is also important for all these different things, including inflammation control. And if your nitric oxide system has gone out of control, that's bad. So it's about making sure you've got enough for your nitric to create the nitric oxide you need, and so sunlight's part of that. So it's about having enough nitrate and sunshine, but also it's about controlling it as well. And look, and here's a picture of the nitric oxide signaling system inside the brain. So it's very, very important for all kinds of reasons. And they mentioned some chemicals here: arginine, citrulline. And this is why I have a program which you can go and pick up for free, nitric.gr8.com. Just go there and you can sign up for free, and you can start learning about nitric oxide and the foods you can eat to improve nitric oxide, supplements you can take, and why my #1 supplement, Ganoderma lucidum, is so important for nitric oxide production in the right way, because it switches the bad nitric oxide, which is INOS, which is inflammatory, into the good nitric oxide, or is it ENOS? I can never remember. Anyway, yeah, I think INOS, inducible nitric oxide, is the bad stuff because it contains no, it's bad, and you want just NO. Anyway, go and listen to all the videos and stuff. So go to nitric.gr8.com. But maybe you want to go a little bit deeper than just nitric oxide, because I'm going to just swap this around now. Here we go. Nitric oxide is just one part of the communication system of what's happening for heart health. You also need to learn about proper hydration. So this is the Magnificent Seven for the heart, by the way: the Polio Dash diet, the Goldilocks exercise regime, blood pressure blitz, which is the detox, circadian rhythm, which is about getting enough sleep, and hormesis versus stress, so this is getting stress and thinking right correctly. Now, I go through a lot of this in my 7-week anti-aging program, where we look at improving raw materials you need to create all of your internal communication systems, decreasing stress, increasing energy and movement, increasing growth hormone, which is important for muscles, xenohormesis and nutrient cycling, again, really important for cell signaling, fasting, detoxification, and all these things keep on having to be repeated. So let me just show you. Let's just swap to a different share here. Let's share screen. Where do I want to go? I want to go to hopefully here. Okay, there. No, it's not there. I need to change. Don't want to go to my diary. Oh, I'm going to stop sharing for a moment, and I'm just going to go. Oh, I got rid of it. That's why. It's here. There you go. Let's do this. Get back to Zoom. Go back to screen share. Hello. Screen share. Here we go. Anti-Aging Health Lab. So the Anti-Aging Health Lab, again, I'm not going to read this all out. I'm just going to scroll through it slowly, so you can, when you're watching this back on replay, you can go through it slowly, or I can send this to you. So the Anti-Aging Health Lab, it's a self-guided, so basically I give you a link to all of these modules. It's currently £397, just so you know, and you can go through it in less than 7 weeks, but it's good to you can go through all the knowledge, but just apply one of these things and then keep applying them. So module 1 is going about all the building blocks you need, understanding all kinds of stuff that you need to know about heart health, like homocysteine, and you can then read through here about why homocysteine is so important to know about. Stress, bust it or befriend it. So lots of different things you can do to bust stress. Building your body's 6 batteries. So this is important for the cell defense mechanism. Mitochondria, especially muscles, cell membranes, DNA, structured water, wind up the windmill of your brain. Xenohomeostasis and nutrient cycling, so important for cellular communication. And dynamic duo of superaging, the big 2 missing factors, which are detoxification and fasting, basically. But so this is a self-guided program, goes through a lot of information, you can apply it yourself. But if you want more one-to-one work, then I would suggest the Magnificent 7 lifestyle coaching program, originally for optimal blood pressure, but for general heart health and wellness as well. We start off with a discovery call, basically, to find out what's going on. That costs £197, and there's lots of information to send out first of all, and for me to get back. And then if I think you're eligible and want to go through the program, then we go through Recovery and Thrive. So again, you can actually read through this slowly. We go through true hydration, nitric oxide, eat to your heart content, science-based detoxification to improve skin, lungs, immune system, etc. Improve resilience, mastering circadian rhythms, exercise and body work. All of those things are covered, not necessarily in that order. We build your customized Recover from High Blood Pressure and Thrive program. And then there's all kinds of stuff that you're going to get. Typical program, month 1, evoke the healing potential and build the blood pressure brakes, or start building your system so it starts reversing heart disease. And then we look at usually detoxification of some kind, improving the lifestyle to a greater extent, restoring and rejuvenating, so some advanced solutions. And then harmonize your body with customized systems approaches, depending on what we find, and then consolidate, and then thrive. So I hope you found that useful. If you want to reach out to me more, then there we go, beatbloodpressure.com or bodyimbalanceuk.com. And don't forget to go to https / whatever that is, nitric.gr8.com as well. But if you want one of the deeper programs, reach out and we'll talk and we'll go through what you can do. As ever, I hope you take this knowledge and I hope you do something actionable with it, because I really want you to live long and prosper with magnificent health. Okay, thank you very much and be well for now.